You walk into the room and the energy shifts immediately. You've been in enough places to know when people are watching, and today is no different. The moment you step through the door, you feel eyes on you, quick, assessing glances. But it's not just curiosity. It's the kind of look that judges you based on the surface, based on something they think they know. They don't see who you are. They don't see the sacrifices, the struggles, the unseen battles you fought and won. But you stand tall, despite it all. You've learned to walk through rooms like this, head held high, despite the whispers and the dismissive glances. You've been here before, when your presence is more of a question than an acknowledgement. This isn't just a social gathering for you. This is a space where your worth will be weighed and measured, judged before your story even gets a chance to be heard. The laughter is light, but you know the tone. It's the kind of laughter that sneaks in through the cracks, a low, quiet sound that cuts deeper than it seems. You can feel it in the air. It's the look of people who think they have you figured out. But you know that's not the case. They don't know you, not really. They don't know you served, did your time in places they only hear about in news reports or see in documentaries. They don't know what it's like to give up years of your life, your comfort, your safety for the greater good. They don't know the long nights spent in the trenches of service, the moments when fear grips you so tightly you almost forget what it's like to breathe freely. They don't know any of this, but they think they do. They think you're just another face, another story they can dismiss without a second thought. So you wait. You don't need to explain yourself yet. You don't need to say anything at all, because you've learned one powerful lesson in all your years. People will always underestimate what they don't understand. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're watching from, your location and local time. Let's get straight into the story. This isn't about a uniform or a tattoo. This is about something deeper, something they'll have to learn the hard way. The moment you hear the laughter, you know it's coming. It always does. The mocking, the sneers, the quiet, almost imperceptible judgment. You've learned to let it roll off, but today feels different. You're not just a figure to be dismissed, a patch to laugh at, a uniform to mock. You're so much more than they can see. You've been in rooms like this too many times to count, but this time the stakes feel higher. Maybe it's because today you're tired of hiding the truth. You try not to let their glances rattle you, but the weight of their assumptions is heavy. You hear a voice from behind you, its tone sharp and cutting. So what's the deal? The voice sneers. Another one of those I served my country types? You sure you're not here to remind us all how hard your life was? The room chuckles, and for a moment it feels like the walls are closing in. It's the kind of sneer that has haunted your every step since you left active duty. The one that implies you should be grateful, quiet, and just fade into the background. And maybe, just maybe, there was a time you would have stayed quiet, just a face in the crowd. Maybe you would have let the jokes slip past you, laughed along like everyone else. But not today. You've had enough. You've spent too many years being overlooked, mocked, and underestimated. You've been dismissed because of your gender, because of your service, because of things that don't even scratch the surface of who you really are. The years of sacrificing your time, your safety, your mental health, those things weren't just for this. Not for the laughter, not for the mockery. You deserve better than that. And today, you'll get it. You turn toward the voice that spoke, meeting the person's eyes with a gaze that's stronger than anything they were expecting. You think you know me, you say, your voice calm but steady. You think you know what it's like to walk in my shoes, but you don't. You don't know what it's like to give everything up, to fight in a war you didn't choose, to give your body and soul for something bigger than yourself. You think it's funny? You think you can laugh at the pain and the years of service? Maybe you should think again. The room goes still. The laughter dies. Their faces shift from amusement to something else. Uncertainty, perhaps? Or is it embarrassment? It's a shift, a small one, but noticeable. They didn't expect this. They thought you'd shrink away, that you'd cower or apologize for your very existence. Instead, you've stood tall, defiant. You've held up the mirror to their mockery, and now they're seeing themselves for what they really are: ignorant, dismissive, arrogant. And just like that, the energy in the room changes. The people who laughed, the ones who thought they were superior, are now uncomfortable. They didn't expect someone like you to challenge them. They didn't expect you to stand up for yourself, to show them that the uniform and the tattoo you wear are far more than just decorations. They don't know it yet, but they're about to. You roll up your sleeve slowly, deliberately. The action is simple, but the effect is profound. They don't know what they're looking at yet, but soon they will. As your sleeve moves, the ink beneath it comes into full view. The tattoo, a stark symbol of your service, your journey, your sacrifice, stands out, bold and unyielding. The room falls into silence. No one speaks. The noise of conversation, the clinking of glasses, the background hum of the world, everything stops for a brief second. All eyes are on you now. Not for mockery, but for something deeper. The tattoo speaks louder than any words ever could. It's a symbol of years lived in service, of battles fought, and of victories claimed despite the odds. It tells the world who you are, not based on the uniform, not based on the things they see on the surface, but in the ink that tells your story. You let it sit there for a moment, the silence lingering in the air like a heavy fog that's slowly lifting. You don't need to explain it. They can see it for themselves. And just like that, they know. But not all of them do. Not yet. Some of them are still processing, still uncertain about what they've just witnessed, and you don't give them time to catch up. You turn away from them, back toward the bar. The mockery has stopped, but now it's their turn to think. It's their turn to look inward, to realize they've been wrong. You can feel their stares as you sit down again, but this time there's no laughter, no smirking, just silence. And you know deep down that this silence is the kind of respect you've been fighting for all these years. It's not loud or dramatic, it's not a grand gesture, it's just the weight of them understanding something they never took the time to understand before. It's the quiet shift in their perception that tells you they've seen you for who you really are. But you don't linger on their reaction. You don't need them to praise you or apologize. That's not what this was about. This was about showing up for yourself, standing in your truth, and refusing to let anyone dismiss your story. You've been silent long enough. Now it's your time to be heard. The room stays quiet for the rest of the night, and as you leave, you don't feel any anger or bitterness. Instead, there's something else, something deeper. It's pride, yes, but also a quiet peace. You've revealed the truth, not just for yourself, but for everyone who's been overlooked, dismissed, or ridiculed. And even though the night may fade, the lessons it carried will stay. They've seen your strength. They've heard your story. They'll remember that tattoo, not as a mark on your body, but as a symbol of who you are and what you fought for. The night lingers in your mind long after you've left. You walk into the quiet of your home, the walls around you suddenly feeling larger, more empty. It's not loneliness you're feeling, but a strange sense of clarity, like something has shifted inside you. For so long you've been carrying the weight of others' assumptions that you never asked for but were forced to accept. And tonight, that weight felt just a little lighter. You wonder about the people in the bar, those who witnessed your moment. Do they remember? Are they still thinking about it? It doesn't matter, really. What matters is that you know the truth. That truth isn't just about the tattoo, or the uniform, or the service you gave. It's about the years of silence, the times you sat back and allowed others to believe things about you that weren't true. But now, you've shown them. You've made them see the reality, even if they didn't want to. You can still feel the shift in the room, the change in the way people looked at you once your story was revealed. The looks of mockery turned into expressions of discomfort, and then maybe, just maybe, a flicker of respect. It wasn't enough to erase years of misunderstanding, but it was a step in the right direction. You're not naive. You know that respect isn't something you can force, and it isn't something that happens overnight. But the thing is, you showed them what they've been missing. And that's more powerful than any apology could be. As the days go by, you begin to notice something in the way people look at you. You're used to the glances, the kind of sideways looks that are filled with questions. But now they're different. You can feel the curiosity, the recognition. It's like they're trying to piece together what they didn't understand before, and you can see it in their eyes. They're not laughing anymore. They're not mocking you. They're listening. Not with words, but with their silence. And in this silence, you find an unexpected kind of peace. The respect that came with that moment at the bar hasn't been loud or overt. No one has come up to apologize or shower you with praise. But it's there, in the way people interact with you now. It's there in the way they acknowledge you, as though they've learned to see you differently. And that's enough. Sometimes, that's all you need. You don't need to shout your worth from the rooftops. You don't need anyone else to validate you. The truth is, you've already done that. By standing up for yourself, by revealing your story, you've made your mark. There's a quiet satisfaction that comes with knowing you've been heard. It's not about being famous or being recognized by everyone. It's about knowing that, for once, people see you as you truly are, not as some caricature or a stereotype. The people who ridiculed you may not understand everything you've been through, but they've seen the strength behind your silence. They've witnessed a small piece of the journey you've walked, and that's a step toward breaking the cycle of judgment. In the following weeks, your life seems to settle back into its usual rhythm, but something inside you has changed. The self-doubt that used to cling to you like a heavy shadow is lighter now. It's not gone entirely, but it doesn't feel as suffocating. The process of being seen, of being heard, has begun to peel away the layers of invisibility you've worn for so long. You're not just a veteran anymore. You're a person with a story that deserves to be told, even if it's not understood by everyone. You've learned that you don't need to explain yourself to people who won't listen. The energy in the room that night, the silence that fell after you revealed your tattoo, those moments are what you carry with you now. They're reminders that things can change when you stop hiding, when you stop allowing others to write your story for you. You've shown them who you are, and that's a gift not just to them, but to yourself. You walk through your days with a renewed sense of purpose. You know that the road ahead won't be easy. There will always be people who dismiss your achievements, who ignore the hard work you've put in. But now, you know what to do when those moments come. You know that standing tall, revealing the truth, your truth, will always be more powerful than any mockery, any judgment, any assumption. But even beyond that, you begin to realize that your strength isn't just in what you've accomplished. It's in the journey you've been on, in the battles fought and the ones still to come. It's in the resilience you carry, the lessons learned along the way, and the quiet dignity with which you carry your story. And it's that dignity, that unwavering belief in your worth, that will continue to define you, long after the laughter dies down and the room goes quiet again. Your tattoo, your service, your journey, they're all part of a larger story that you've learned to carry with pride. And in time, the people around you will begin to understand. They'll see the real you, the person who stood up when it mattered, who refused to let their mockery silence your voice. So what happens next? You continue. You continue to be who you are, unapologetically. You continue to walk into rooms, knowing that some people will always look at you with assumptions. But you'll also know that you're not invisible anymore. You've made sure of that. And no matter what comes next, no matter how many people misunderstand or mock you, you'll always have the strength to stand tall, to reveal your truth, and to let the world see who you truly are. You wake up the next morning with the same lingering feeling. It's not a feeling of victory, but of quiet reflection. The shift in the air from the night at the bar, the way the room seemed to freeze when your tattoo was revealed, the silence that followed and the understanding that came with it, keeps running through your mind. You've seen this before in movies, in stories about heroes who reveal the truth and, with that one act, change everything. But this isn't a movie. This is real life. And in real life, change doesn't come all at once. It's not wrapped up in a neat, tidy package. Change is messy, subtle, and often comes with discomfort before it reaches understanding. You can't help but wonder if those who witnessed your moment will remember. Will they understand the weight of it over time? Or will they shrug it off, chalking it up to one more brief interaction in a world full of distractions. You've always been used to being forgotten, the invisible veteran, not invisible by choice, but because no one bothered to look deeper. They saw the uniform, the patch, and assumed they knew everything there was to know. But that moment, that revealing of your tattoo, has been a turning point in how they see you. You hope it's a turning point in how they see others too. As the days move on, you notice something interesting. People you've known for a while begin to treat you differently. It's not obvious at first, but little things start to shift. The cashier at the local grocery store greets you with a smile, a kindness you hadn't noticed before. A fellow veteran, someone you've known for years, nods at you from across the street. And this time, instead of just a wave, there's a look in his eyes, a recognition of shared experience. It's subtle, but it's there. The kind of respect you've always hoped for, but never really expected. One evening, as you sit down at a quiet cafe, you're surprised when a woman sitting at the table next to you starts up a conversation. She's polite, friendly, and you can tell she's trying to be careful, as though she's not sure whether it's okay to approach you. You give her a nod and she hesitates, then leans slightly forward. "I noticed your tattoo," she says softly, a little unsure of herself. "I don't want to pry, but I've heard stories about veterans and, well, I just wanted to say, thank you for your service." Her words are genuine. It's not the rehearsed kind of gratitude you're used to, but something that comes from a place of sincerity. She's not expecting a response, but you feel something shift in you as you look at her. This isn't the same kind of shallow recognition you've been given in the past. It's not an obligatory "thank you for your service," as if it's a script to follow. This is a person who sees you, not just the uniform, but the person behind it. You pause, your fingers tracing the rim of your cup, and then, almost without thinking, you say, "It's not always easy to be seen." The words catch in your throat, but it feels right to say them. There's a moment of quiet, an understanding that passes between you and her. She doesn't ask for more. She just lets you speak. She listens. And it's that listening, without judgment, without assumptions, that feels like the most powerful form of recognition. "I get that," she responds, her voice soft. "We often don't know what others have gone through, do we?" You nod, grateful for the conversation. It's simple, but it's real. And for once, it feels like someone is truly seeing you, seeing the complexity of who you are, not just the surface-level assumptions. The words she speaks don't erase the years of mockery or the dismissive laughter you've endured, but they're a small step towards something different. A world where people actually take the time to understand each other before they pass judgment. As the evening wears on, you sit there thinking about the ways people have underestimated you in the past. You think about all the times you've been overlooked, pushed aside, or dismissed. For so long, you wore the weight of other people's ignorance, not because you didn't want to speak up, but because it was easier to keep quiet. It was easier to hide your story behind the patches and the uniform and the walls you built around yourself. But not anymore. That night at the bar when you revealed your tattoo was a breaking point. It wasn't just about showing them your service, your story. It was about refusing to let anyone define you based on their ignorance. You chose to stand tall, to reveal the truth even when it wasn't easy. And now, people are starting to see you for who you really are. You don't expect the world to change overnight. You don't expect everyone to understand right away. But you know that you've made a difference. The respect you're receiving, the way people treat you, is the beginning of something more. It's the start of a deeper understanding, not just for you, but for every person who's ever been overlooked or dismissed because of who they are, where they come from, or what they've been through. The impact of that night ripples through your life, affecting not just your own journey, but the way others perceive the world around them. The woman at the cafe, the fellow veteran across the street, they're all part of this shift. They've seen something they didn't understand before, and that's powerful. It's the kind of change that happens quietly, without fanfare, but it's real. You can't control how others see you, but you can control how you see yourself. You've learned that much. By revealing your truth, you've allowed others to see you differently, and in turn you've learned to see them differently too. You've learned That when people are given the space to speak their truth, when they're given the opportunity to be seen for who they truly are, the world becomes a little smaller, a little kinder, and a little more compassionate. As you leave the cafe that evening, you feel a new sense of peace. It's not about winning or proving something to others. It's about finally standing in your truth and allowing others to do the same. The journey isn't over. There's still work to be done, stories to be shared, moments to be recognized. But tonight, you've taken another step toward understanding, and that's enough for now. You wake up the next morning with a sense of quiet strength. The events of the past few weeks have left their mark on you, not in the way that leaves scars, but in the way that changes how you see the world. There's a lightness to your step that wasn't there before. Maybe it's the way people are starting to treat you differently, or maybe it's just that you've realized something that's been a long time coming. You don't need anyone's approval to know your worth. The recognition that you've been craving isn't something you'll find in grand gestures. It's not about the loud applause or the public recognition. It's in the small moments, the subtle nod from a stranger, the understanding look from someone who knows what it's like to fight for respect, the acknowledgement from a fellow veteran who sees you for who you are. These are the moments that matter. As you go about your day, you notice that you're not just moving through life anymore. You're present. You're aware. And in that awareness, you see how people around you are beginning to change too. They're taking the time to listen more, to understand more. The same people who once looked at you with judgment are now looking at you with curiosity, maybe even a little respect. They're seeing beyond the uniform, beyond the tattoos, beyond the stereotypes. They're seeing you for the person you are. And that's the change you've been waiting for. You begin to realize that this isn't just about you. It's about everyone who's ever been overlooked or misunderstood. It's about the veterans who return home and find themselves lost in the shuffle, ignored by a society that's quick to forget their sacrifices. It's about the women who have served and fought for this country, only to find their contributions erased from the narrative. It's about the men and women who, after giving their all for their country, find themselves questioning if they've ever been truly seen. You know that your journey is just one of many, but it feels like you're part of something bigger now. Your voice, your story, your tattoo, they're part of a larger movement, one that's about breaking the silence, about fighting for the respect that's been denied for so long. It's about letting others know that their stories matter too, that their sacrifices are real and that they deserve to be acknowledged. That night, you return to the same bar where it all started. You're not sure why, but something pulls you there. Maybe it's the feeling of unfinished business, or maybe it's the desire to see how much has really changed. As you step inside, you immediately feel the difference. The atmosphere is different. It's quieter, but not in an uncomfortable way. It's as though the room has become a little more introspective, a little more aware. The young man who mocked you that night is there again. You spot him almost immediately, sitting at the bar with a few of his friends. You notice something new about him. His posture is different. There's no bravado in his stance, no smirk on his face. He seems almost unsure of himself, like he's trying to find his place in the room. His eyes catch yours for a moment, and he quickly looks away. But this time, there's no laughter, no judgment, just silence. You don't make a big deal of it. You don't go over to him, don't demand an apology. That's not what this is about. This is about him realizing something on his own. This is about the quiet acknowledgement that he's seen you for who you really are, something he couldn't see before. You sit at the bar, order a drink, and wait. It's a moment of calm. You've fought for this silence, this recognition. You don't need anyone to come up to you and tell you that they've changed their mind about you. You already know. It's in the way the room feels different, in the way people are quieter, more reflective. It's in the way they're looking at you, not with mockery or assumptions, but with a kind of understanding. As the night goes on, you notice the change in the people around you. The usual noise, the raucous laughter, the sense of superiority that once filled the room, isn't there. The conversations feel more meaningful, more thoughtful. It's as though people are finally beginning to take the time to understand each other. The veteran who's been quiet for years, the woman who's always kept to herself, the man who thought he knew everything. Tonight, they're all listening. They're listening to each other, to the stories that were always there, waiting to be heard. You leave the bar that night, not with a sense of triumph, but with a quiet satisfaction. You've shown them your story. You've revealed your truth. And for the first time in a long time, you don't feel the need to explain. The room has seen you. The people around you have seen you. And that's enough. It's enough because you've realized something important. You don't need to fight for respect. You don't need to demand that others understand you. All you need to do is stand tall, be yourself, and reveal the truth. Because when you do that, the rest will follow. People will see you. They will understand. And they will respect you, not because of who they think you are, but because of who you've shown them you are. As you walk home, the city streets seem different now. The noise of the world, the rush of people, the chaos, it all feels less overwhelming. You feel lighter somehow. The weight of the judgments you once carried is no longer there. You've shared your truth, and in doing so, you've allowed others to do the same. And that's a gift, the kind of gift that keeps on giving. As the days go by, you can't help but notice the lingering impact of that night. It's subtle, but it's there. The world hasn't changed overnight, but you've started to see it differently. The faces you pass on the street, the people you interact with, all seem to carry a little more understanding, a little more respect. It's not that everyone is suddenly perfect, far from it, but there's a shift. It's the kind of shift that's hard to describe, but it's undeniable. It's in the way people greet you now, in the way they listen to you, in the way they pause just a little longer when they look at you. You walk into a store, and a woman behind the counter smiles at you, her eyes lingering for a moment, as if recognizing something. You wonder if she remembers the conversation you had a few weeks ago, if the respect you showed in that one moment has reached further than you thought. You don't need to ask. You don't need to know if anyone is actively thinking about you. It doesn't matter. The change in how people treat you is enough. It's a quiet thing, but it's powerful. You don't have to fight for their attention anymore. You've earned something far more important, their recognition. But it's not just about the way others see you. Something has shifted in you too. The peace you've been carrying with you feels different. It's not just because of the newfound respect others are offering, but because you've finally let go of the weight of their judgments. You no longer feel the need to shrink in spaces where you're not valued. You've come to terms with the fact that you can't control how others perceive you, but you can control how you perceive yourself. And that is where your power lies. You think back to the times when you used to question yourself, when you doubted whether you were truly worthy of recognition. The times when you let people's opinions weigh you down. Those doubts are still there, but they're softer now. They're quieter, drowned out by the louder truth of who you've become. You've stood tall, not just for the recognition, but for the peace that comes from embracing your truth and owning your story. Later that week, you receive a message from a fellow veteran, someone you haven't spoken to in years. The message is short, but the words hit you like a wave. I saw what you did. You gave us all the courage to speak our truth. Thank you for showing us how to stand. The message doesn't need further explanation. It's clear that your actions have made a difference, not just for you, but for those around you. It's the ripple effect, the way a single act of bravery can change the way others view themselves and the world around them. You can feel the weight of this moment, the way it continues to resonate with people you may never even know. The ripple has spread beyond the walls of the bar, beyond that night. It's the kind of change that continues to grow, to impact people in ways you'll never fully understand. And it's beautiful. But even as you bask in the recognition, you know that this isn't the end. The fight isn't over. There will always be people who will try to diminish your service, your worth. There will always be those who don't understand, but you're no longer afraid of their ignorance. You've learned that the greatest battle isn't with the people who mock or dismiss you. It's with the parts of yourself that still doubt your worth. You've won that battle, and with every day that passes, it becomes clearer. Your worth isn't something that can be taken away by others. It's something you've already claimed for yourself. The world doesn't owe you understanding. No one is obligated to recognize the weight of your service, the depth of your sacrifice. But when you stand tall in your truth, when you own who you are, the world has no choice but to take notice. It might not be loud, it might not be dramatic, but it will be real. As you sit down that evening with a cup of tea, the quiet of your home surrounding you, you feel the weight of everything that has happened. The battles fought, the silence broken, the people who've started to listen. And you smile. It's not because of any grand victory. It's because, for the first time in a long while, you feel at peace with who you are, and that peace is worth more than anything anyone else could ever offer. You know that your journey isn't over. There will always be more to do, more people to reach, more misconceptions to challenge, but for tonight, you let yourself rest in the quiet satisfaction of knowing that you've made your mark. Your story has been told, and for the first time, it's been heard. As you settle in, you can't help but feel grateful. Grateful for the lessons learned, for the strength you've discovered within yourself, and for the understanding that others are beginning to find. You've faced the ridicule, the mockery, the dismissive stares, and you've come out the other side stronger. You've revealed your truth to the world, and in doing so, you've changed everything. The impact of that night, of your tattoo, will stay with you forever. It's not just about the tattoo itself, or the recognition. It's about the understanding that comes when people are brave enough to stand in their truth. And as you close your eyes that night, you drift off knowing that, no matter what comes next, you've already won. You've shown the world who you truly are, and in the process, you've given others the courage to do the same.